All right. So you got your switch installed? Yes, no? All right. Now, I'm going to give you several tasks to perform with your light switch technique. Kevin, come in, Sie Herren. Assume the position.
I'll sit down.
Where's your magic finger? All right. Raise your magic finger. Erect it for me. And what I'd like you to do, Kevin, is I'd like you, when you're ready, just drop that finger and go as deep into trance as you've trained yourself to go. Deeper and deeper and deeper. With every breath you take and every beat of your heart, just go deeper and deeper and deeper still. Now, Kevin, there's a technique that you learned from me that you absolutely love. A technique that makes you feel so good inside. And I want you to take a moment, imagine a beautiful ball of glowing golden orange fluid flowing above your head. And I want you to notice how the feelings in your body shift and change as with every breath you take and every beat of your heart, that beautiful glowing golden orange energy begins to flow in through the top of your head, all the way down through your spine, your face, your neck, your back, all the way into the soles of your feet, to the tips of your toes, and it begins to fill you up. Fill you up. Fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. And this beautiful golden orange fluid that you're experiencing, in the world, according to David, we call it the Universal Solvent. And it has some very, very amazing, very, very cool properties that I'll describe in just a moment as you notice those effects taking place deep inside your mind, body, and soul. You see, Kevin, like a magnet is drawn to metal, like water soaking into a dry sponge, that Universal Solvent seeks out every place in your mind, every place in your body where you're harboring any stress, any strain, any less than positive belief or memory or experience, the ones you consciously remember, the ones you consciously understand, and most importantly, Kevin, the ones you unconsciously remember, the ones you unconsciously understand, the secret recorded thoughts, memories, beliefs, and experiences that activate in certain times that cause you to say things you don't want to say or do things you don't want to do, or, as is sometimes the case, to say and do things you know you don't want to say and do. As that universal solvent fills your body like a magnet is drawn to metal, like water soaking into a dry sponge, that universal solvent flows into those areas. It begins to saturate, to penetrate, to dilute, to dissolve any stress, any strain, any less than positive belief or memory or experience. Begins to break out, to pull out, to dissolve, and hold in suspension all of that stuff. And in its place, everything you most want. Everything you most need in an infinite, ever-expanding, unlimited supply. I want you to notice how the feelings in your body shift and change as that universal solvent flows up from your toes to your feet, from your feet to your ankles, from your ankles to your calves, from your calves to your legs to your hips, through your abdomen all the way up, through your back and neck and spine, down your arms and into your fingers, filling you up. Filling you up, filling you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. And when you know you're completely filled with it, from the tips of your toes to the ends of your hair and all points in between, you can just nod your head to let me know. And we'll continue with the next part of our process. Excellent. Now, as I count from 1 to 5, Kevin, you're going to notice something interesting. You're going to notice the intensity of that amazing, powerful, super universal solvent doubling in size and strength, doubling in force and magnitude, working its way deeper and deeper and deeper into every nerve, every cell, every atom, and every space between those atoms, into your physical body, your astral body, your mental body, seeking out any place in your system, any place in your beingness where you're harboring any stress, any strain, any less than positive belief from memory or experience, breaks up, dissolves, solving, dissolving, and resolving from the body. Solving, dissolving, and resolving from the mind. 2, doubling again, resolving it from the mind for all the right reasons. Just notice that process, going deeper and deeper and deeper still, finding every place where you're holding any stress, any strain, any less than positive belief from memory or experience. 3, doubling even more powerfully now. 4, on the next count, maximum intensity. Number, that's right. Wait for it. Wait for it. 5, that's right. Let's feel all that stuff transforming, solving, dissolving, and resolving from the body. Solving, dissolving, and resolving from the mind for all the right reasons. It's not uncommon as this universal solvent works its way deeper and deeper and deeper into your mind, body, and soul for people to experience all kinds of interesting symptoms. Some people twitch. Some people laugh. Some people yawn. Some people cry. Some people break out in a sweat. Some people just feel waves of emotion coming up. However your body expresses these transformations, it's just the neurology resetting itself. It's just the emotional detox. There's no need to measure it or manage it or make it happen faster, Kevin. Just notice the process taking place. And when you know you're completely cleansed from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, from the most superficial level of your physical form to the most subtle level of your soul, you just nod your head or let one of your fingers float up with honest, unconscious movements to let me know. That's right. Now, in a moment, Kevin, not yet, but in just a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach the number 5, that magic finger of yours will float up. But another interesting thing will happen. It's as if little spigots, little openings, and the soles of your feet and the tips of your fingers open wide like a drain, and all that golden orange fluid with all that stuff that used to be inside of you will flow out of you, leaving you fresh and clean and purified from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, from the most corporeal aspects of your physical being, or the coarsest aspects of your physical being, to the subtlest vibrational aspects of your soul. Head, toe, mind, body, soul, cleansed, healed, rejuvenated, ready to rock and roll 10 times better than ever before. 1, feel yourself returning to this place we call reality. Feel those little tiny spigots, those faucets in your fingers and your toes beginning to open wide. Notice that universal solvent taking all that stuff out of your mind, out of your body, out of your spirit forever, leaving you a fresh, clean vessel, alive with transformation and lots of space for better stuff. Number 2, feel that energy flowing out. Feel that lightness going through your entire mind, body, and soul. 3, faster and faster. 4, on the next count. Coming out of this process only at the rate and speed that you know all that stuff is out of you, deep into the earth and flowing into the top of your head. An energy that gives you everything you most want instead. That revitalizes you, rejuvenates you, clarifies your mind, sharpens your body, gives you all the vitality and abilities that you most want. All happening at that last count. 5. Take your time. Notice how good you feel. Welcome back. Give him a big round of applause. Well, that's the universal solvent. It sure is, right? I usually use this. I do this, then I take them to the gray room. Once I take them to the gray room, depending on what I have determined is the best fit technically for them, after specific negativity, we can use the gallery or the control room. And the gallery and the control room are expansions on the magic frame technique. So if you know how to do magic frame, you already know 80% of the gallery and the control room. Okay? Because we're focusing around the light switch, we're going to teach you these techniques in the context of doing self-work, because they're very good for self-work, but they're just as easily done with a client. Okay? So we're going to jump down here to direct suggestion, because it's the simplest. Really, I mean, just but simple. I need a piece of. Can I borrow? No, no, I don't want to take that. Does anybody have a small piece of notebook paper that I can borrow? Oh, here's something. Never mind. So this is the method of self-suggestion that was given to me by Jerry Kine. I do not use this. I have, but I have found that the ways that my neurology devised to give suggestion work better for me. If this is a very simple way to do it. There are many ways to do self-hypnosis, or as the Russians, the Soviets call it, auto-suggestion. Okay? The most important thing is to be exposed to all of them, test all of them, and see which ones give you the best result, which work best with your particular personality or feelings, right? Was the Universal Solvent very hard as a conceptually, right? It's one of the reasons I didn't emphasize it quite so much. It's just, if you can do the safe place induction, which is infinitely harder comparatively, it's the same process though, right? It's exactly the same. The only difference is, instead of a golden orange fluid, I'm using your safe energy. If they don't have a safe resource, I'm going to use pleasure. And it can be any kind of pleasure. And you're going to find out that because pleasure is a higher vibration than most traumatic imprints, it will significantly dissolve the constructs. This is why I'm saying, be playful. There's only a couple of vibrations higher, or concepts higher than play. And that's pleasure, love, and safety. And I'm not even sure if safety is higher than pleasure or play, because a lot of times you have to be safe in order to feel pleasure, right? So it's more of a base. Emotions are not the enemy. They are your palette. They are your tools. Your emotions are not your enemy. They're a tool that Huh? Well, as a subject too. Your emotions are the keys that allow you to navigate this vibrational reality. But you have to understand your feelings, your kinesthetics, differently. You have to see it from a different, experience it from a different place. If you look at emotions as things that just happen to you, then you're always going to be a victim of your emotions. If you look at I prefer to think of the emotional experiences that we have as a navigation tool. If you can imagine being on an ocean and sailing on the ocean, the emotions that you deal with are like the winds and the currents. Your outcomes are like the stars. You get the metaphor? If not, think of emotions being the colors of an artist's palette. And with that palette of colors, you can paint whatever picture you desire. Right? They're not, for people who don't understand what we know, emotions are things that just happen, like the weather. They come and they go. But for people who are trained to understand and navigate and create, they're far more. Right? That's you. You understand? Your emotions are not your enemy. You just didn't understand what you didn't understand. Now you can begin to learn how to sail, and learn how to paint, and learn how to create using the ultimate palette, energy and emotion. And with it, you create whatever reality you want. Right? So when we give ourselves suggestion, this particular method, what you do is you give yourself the suggestions before you go into trance. Before you go into trance. This has a direct analog to various kinds of sleep programming. How many people here have ever gone to sleep thinking about a problem, woken up the next day with the answer? Okay, congratulations. You've just practiced self-hypnosis. Your brain tends to fixate and focus all of its resources on the last thing you think about as you go to sleep. Okay? We are working with almost the exact same mechanism. In this process, we have our handy-dandy light switch. We have a single suggestion. Okay? So you have to put thought into this suggestion and keep it simple, 1 to 2 lines at the most. Okay? You take the suggestion, you write it on a piece of paper, and remember, there's no magic in the piece of paper. You don't need to hoard your slips, right? Keep them in a little safe somewhere like some people do. The magic is in the suggestion. You're going to take that suggestion, you're going to hold it up at about a 45-degree angle. And you're going to read that suggestion either, I recommend you do it out loud, but if your environment doesn't allow you to do that, then as energetically, as positively, as aggressively, in a positive way as you can. Like let's say, every day in every way I'm becoming better at hypnosis. Maybe that's my suggestion. So I'll sit here, have my trusty finger locked and loaded. Every day in every way I am getting better and better at hypnosis. Every day in every way I am getting better and better at hypnosis. Every day in every way I am getting better and better at hypnosis. Every day in every way I am getting better and better at hypnosis. I'm just going to keep repeating it with as much energy and as much certainty and as much enthusiasm as I can until I reach an emotional peak, an emotional climax. When I reach that emotional climax, I drop the finger, drop the paper, go into trance for however long I'm going to go in, and I don't try to, I just cook in trance. I don't try to think about it. I don't try to repeat the suggestion. I just go into trance for however long I need to. And when I know I'm done, I allow my finger to float up, and I come up out of trance. Go about your day. Okay? When you're first, now that you've installed your trigger, your first couple of suggestions should be making the trigger stronger, enhancing the trigger, being able to take in more suggestions. And you should do this suggestion as many times a day as you can for 30 days. One suggestion, compound it as much as possible over the next 30 days. After that, you can do as many different types of suggestion as you want, as many times a day as you want. Okay? But for training purposes, for blocking this process in, one suggestion. Right? And I would recommend that you make that suggestion something that enhances this technique. Make sense? You could do this. You could do that. I recommend for 30 days you focus on locking in this mechanism and then use it for sleeping. You could use it to go to sleep at night, yes. Okay, the short answer is yes. Should you do that right away? I don't recommend it. I would lock in the technique first as a tool and then worry about all the different things you can do with it, right? So again, finger, suggestion, repeat, 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 build your emotional intensity. When it reaches that climax, it was funny when Jerry did it. Anyway, all right. So, questions on it? Say that again? You could. Again, this technique can stand by itself. If you want to supplement it, that's fine. Right? But to install the technique, 30 days, one suggestion, I would recommend you use it to make yourself better at the process. After that, you can do as many suggestions a day as you want, one at a time. And you can do the same suggestion over and over again. You can do multiple suggestions, 5 different. Again, it doesn't matter. It's just one suggestion per episode or what, one set, right? And then just set it and forget it, right? This is very powerful, very direct suggestion. Other things you can do is you can go into trance, Universal Solvent yourself, right? Transition metaphor, gray room. I have no idea what I'm grabbing, but I'm processing the shit out of something. When they start yawning, they're processing. Right? When you know it's done, now if I need to, I can open a door in the gray room, step into another room. And this room is loaded with picture frames. Kind of like an old style television set. And I look around and I instinctively realize that all the positive ones have one color frame, and all the not so positive ones have a different color frame. And in the center of the room, instead of a big old fireplace, so it looks like a big old drop slot. You ever see those mail slots? Or those garbage chutes? And there's also one behind me in the wall. So I walk over and I touch one of those frames that represents a less than positive belief or memory experience. I notice where I feel it. I take it off the wall. Find a bunch of knobs and dials here. I turn all the way to the right and notice how that makes me feel. Turn all the way to the left, notice how that makes me feel. Decide which one I like better. And there were some notes that I need to make for this, so I'll just write those on the screen. I'll just keep writing until I know I got it all. Shrink it down. I'll put it in the slot. Take another one. No, I have no fucking clue what I'm writing. Once I'm done there, I have a choice. I could keep going and go in. I could open a door, go into another room. Now this room has frames in it too, but this one's a little bit different. Have you ever been inside one of those virtual reality computers? You know, ever seen, like, we watched Tony Stark, an Iron Man, or a Minority Report. They have this holographic computer where they're exploding diagrams and making things bigger, making things smaller. There's a great scene in Iron Man 3 where he's literally walking through a crime scene and holographically exploding diagrams and things like that. Well, as you walk into this room, floating in space all around you are frames. And some you recognize as positive, some you recognize as negative. Some are really, really big, some are really, really small. And you just look around. You look at where they're stacked and where they're filed. And you just start putting them in the place that makes it feel the best. So you start organizing the desktop in your frontal hemisphere. If you find something that needs to go back, shrink it down, white it out, make the notes, put it in the slot. If it's something that's positive, something that's powerful, something that gives you a resource or something you want to have more of, say, I want to remember to always see the world in a certain way. I'll find that file, I'll reach out and touch it. And I want it to be bigger, so I'll make it bigger. I'll make it slightly transparent, and I'll make it panoramic, so I look the world through it. Anything that gets in the way, I'll either move it to the side or down below or into the recycle bin, or I'll just shrink it down and put it behind me. And I'm just organizing everything out here, all these floating squares, because each one represents a file. And these files either enhance you or they diminish you. They either get in your way or they move you forward. And you have to decide. Keep it, get rid of it, make it stronger, make it weaker, refile it to someplace more important. Once I've gone through that process, I'll go back to the gallery, look around, make sure everything's taken care of here. Once I'm happy there, I'll go back to my gray room, make sure everything's happy there, step back into my body, let the golden fluid drain out. And when I'm done, when I know it's all out, that finger will float up. Out of trance you come. Pretty easy, huh? How many went along for the ride? Right? Remember something. One of the reasons that what I'm teaching you in terms of rooms and things like that is so powerful, much more so than dialogue, by the way, is because the human nervous system is hardwired for spatial memory. You're hardwired for it. That's why ancient techniques like the memory palace, for those of you who know what that is, are so effective. Your spatial orientation is the strongest memory you have. It's also one of those 7 magic language patterns that are one of the most powerful in the world. So anytime you utilize constructs of time and space, you're going to have more impact and go through it much more easily than anything that is purely dialogue-based. If you can interact with those spatial constructs, now you're doing what you actually do in real life. Right? You guys with me? So in that process, I did direct suggestion, or I went into trance. I did Universal Solvent. I went into the gray room. Did what I had to do in gray room. As soon as I was done, little door open, transition metaphor. I'm into another room. Maybe it's a dome-shaped room with pearly gray walls. Maybe it's a completely square room. Doesn't matter. But as I look around the room, I notice on that wall, on those walls are picture frames. And I instinctively recognize one set of frames are all the good things. All the things that make me feel strong and confident, worthy and deserving. Those other colored frames represent all the less than positive stuff. But the difference is, because we know what the frame does, those things have lessons attached that we need to process a little bit differently before we get rid of them. So I take them off the wall. I notice where I feel it. I wipe the image out. I write the lessons. I don't need to know consciously what the lessons are. My unconscious mind put that frame there. It knows exactly what that's for. So I just let it do what it knows how to do. When I'm happy, when I'm satisfied that that's done, into the drop slot. Right? You could have the drop slot in the center because we know what that's for, metaphorically, but we also know neurologically that this place for over and done is behind us. Remember? Almost like the exact single magic frame exercise, right? It's the same frickin' thing. You see the pattern. Specific negativity, but I'm batch removing stuff. That's called the gallery. Okay, it's on your little thingy there. Right? So we go from Universal Solvent to the gray room, to the gallery, to the control room. Now I'm in a virtual reality room. I have all these positive things floating around me three-dimensionally. I have all these negative files floating around me three-dimensionally. And now I sort them. Some of them are going to be big. Some of them are going to be small. I want to make all my good ones big and close. All the negative ones, if they need to keep them, I'm going to make them small and I'm going to put them away. If they're completely irrelevant, back where we put all those things that are overdone and no longer relevant. It's no different than magic frame. Except in each case, we're adding one or two things. Right? In single frame, it's a specific issue. We get rid of it, we move it. In the gallery, there's a whole bunch of stuff there that the unconscious mind says, hey, these things have lessons connected to, so let's get those out. Reprocess them, move on. In the control room now we're looking at our desktop of our computer, our own personal computer, the human neurology. And just like before, you're going to see all the positive ones, all the negative ones floating there. You can inspect them if you want, but you instinctively know which ones are positive, which ones are negative. You reach out, you touch the negative ones, notice where you feel it, decide if it needs to stay in front or it needs to go in the back, move it. If it's a positive one and you want more of it, make it bigger, bring it closer. If there's a place, move the picture around. Find out what spot in and around you gives you the best result. This is where you get to customize your internal dashboard. Understand the difference. First one, we're just getting rid of a single thing. Second one, we're getting rid of all as many negative things as are on that wall. Third level, we're deciding what gets bigger, what gets stronger, what stays, what goes. You see the progression? Okay? Now, you can guide people through this exercise or you can do it on your own. Right? I recommend you do both. Right? Might want to, see, it's 5 after 12. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to practice your finger drop. I want you to go through Universal Solvent, do a gray room, do a gallery, do a control room. 2 or 3 times on your own. As soon as you're done 2 or 3 times on your own, get a partner and guide them through it 2 or 3 times. Can we do that? This means yes. This means no. You got 35 minutes. Go.